I think you guys might be ready. That's good, but you can do better. Please welcome Susan Sarandon and Geena Davis. The Thelma and Louise Band. Do better than that. And your microphone is right there. It's already on.
Wow, I didn't know it was going to be this many people.
You guys have just had some sugar, I think. I like that.
It is so absolutely fabulous to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, first time in the Pittsburgh area?
No, I filmed Lorenzo's Oil here, so I was here for quite a while.
Well,
living in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
What is that called? It begins with an S.
Squirrel Hill. Squirrel
Yes.
Hill? So if you don't mind, let's talk about this incredible film. Still relevant, still so good today. Obviously a great film, a timeless script. What about the audition process? What was that like for you? And what drew you into the movie?
I didn't audition. I think a bunch of people just turned it down, and then I got it.
Well, I worked for a year to get in this movie. Somebody slipped me the script. They said, "This is the best roles out there," and I loved it. And they had already cast. Ridley Scott, who directed it, was just the producer at the time. There was a director, and there was already a Thelma and Louise. But I had my agent call Ridley's office every week to say, if anything happens, Gina's, still very interested. And then a few months later, that all fell apart. Can Gina meet the next director? No, the next director already knows who he wants. It happened a third time, and finally Ridley said, you know what, I'm just directing this myself. I know exactly how I want it to be. I'm going to direct it myself. Will you meet with Gina? Yes. She's been very persistent. Yes, I will. So I'm like, I gotta convince him. I gotta convince him that I can be in this movie. And I didn't care which part I played. I was just like, I have to be one of these people. I'd be the waitress. I just want to be in this movie. But then I got to do it with Susan. So that was awesome.
Did you know each other before?
No, we had never met. Yeah,
I'm on the East Coast. I've always lived in the East Coast. I'm a New Yorker, and this is almost the East Coast, right? That's right. Near the West Coast. So no, I'm not very social. So I haven't really. That's the only way I meet people is working with them, actually.
And for your character, it's so natural. How much did he let you put of your ideas in? Because it just. What's the answer?
Let me just preface this by saying Callie Curry got an Academy Award for the script. But when we got it, it didn't say where they were or where they were coming from. And I'd say to Ridley, well, where are they? Because, we have to have an accent. And he said, well, just use your accent. And I was like, no, this is New York. This isn't the South. So we kind of massaged the script and moved things around and cut things and, did a little bit of whatever because Callie wasn't there when we were working. So, it's always the actor's job to kind of make it as specific as possible, and you ask questions and you try to figure out what's going on. And so there was a lot happening to the script while we were filming.
Susan had so many great ideas. She even thought of a scene that we added to the movie.
Well, I was just so sick of being in this car and driving this car, and I said, couldn't they just get out of the car for like a minute and just have like a grace note, and we were trying to move some of the dialogue that was at the very end somewhere else because we were having this long conversation at the end of the movie while we were ready to go off the cliff, and I was like, seriously, by this time, they should be finishing each other's sentences. They don't need to say, you're my bestie, blah, blah, blah. So we moved a lot of that dialogue over to a chase sequence, and we just had that little tiny snippet with an additional kiss that's not in the script.
What Susan say?
And Geena was down. Yeah, so there were sections that were just difficult, but the one that Gina's talking about was when we stop in the desert and I take off my rings and she's sleeping and I get out and really kept saying, well, should we put the dialogue there? And I was like, no, that's the whole point. We just wanted to be quiet for a change and not listen to this car going all the time. Because when I was driving, I had to usually line up, like there'd be a camera on the truck, and I would have to line up the camera peeking between Geena and the rear view mirror. So when you're not thinking about acting, this is what happens. When you're just trying to line up your shot, you get nominated for an Academy Award. That's true. Yeah, so did I answer a question?
Absolutely. So Ridley Scott, known for a lot of big budget sci-fi. What made him take this project on, and what was his style of direction like?
Well, from what he read the script, he fell in love with it, and was going to produce it only. But then the perspectives of he had 3 different male directors before him, and one of them said, I think they need to be sexier, there needs to be more sex in this, and they need to be more glamorous, and different things. And he finally was like, nobody gets it. They're not getting it. And
he wanted to blow up the truck.
yeah, that was the
main reason he did that movie.
He wanted to blow up a truck.
And he put us, they cleared everything for 2 miles and left us right there.
Right.
And the camera was on our back. And I said, you know, I have small children. You cleared everything 2 miles away and you're not even seeing our faces. Why are we standing here still? And he said, you're right. And he put a camera in front of us then.
But this is the hilarious thing. So, you have 1 truck. There were 8 cameras. Now there was going to be 10, and only 1 chance at it. And I was thinking, well, this is good. You'll get a real reaction to a tanker blowing up. And so 3, 2, 1, is everybody ready? And if we shoot the guns and it blows up, as Susan and I went. And they say cut, and Ridley comes over and goes, what did you do? Why didn't you react? And we're like, I don't know. So now he's like, oh my God, I went through all that. So now they had to set it up and have a giant fan blow wind at us and have yellow, orange lights and stuff. At that time we went, wow, woohoo!
I don't think I react that much, actually.
Maybe I did.
You did. I kind of felt like the one thing that I really didn't want to make was a revenge movie.
Right.
And so for me, I felt like the whole time she's on this trip, and obviously, at that time when the movie came out, there wasn't hardly any talk about the rape. I don't know if you remember, there was a lot of talk about how we were anti-male and condoning suicide, and all the things that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid did not get accused of when they jumped off a cliff, but we got in trouble for. And the rape thing wasn't that really focused on in the reviews or anything. It was much more subtle than it is now. And I just felt that she's trying to figure out, first of all, she feels guilty. She feels she has to pay some kind of price for what she did, which is not like other revenge movies. And secondly of all, she's trying to understand why a guy would think that that's cool. Why would a guy say all those lascivious things So that's why we added that dialogue with the trucker about, don't you have a sister? Do you have a mother? Like, why? So it's not that she's so easily ecstatic about blowing up a truck. She's just like, what's wrong with this guy? And is it my fault that guys do this kind of thing? Trying to understand the psychology of that, you know? And so it was my job to literally drive the movie, and that was what I was trying to figure out. And actually, when I was talking to Ridley about it before we had our rehearsal, I was like, now is this going to be one of those things where after you test it and everybody's bummed, you're going to have us at Club Med or something? Or am I actually going to die? Because if I'm trying to work toward that, I don't want to find out later that we're doing a reshoot and we landed softly somehow in the middle of the Grand Canyon, or we had parachutes or something. And what he said to me was, you will definitely die, I'm not sure about her. You might push her out of the car by that time. But by the time we got to that time, which was at the very last shot of the film, magic hour, spending all days on the helicopters and the cars, we got to do our scene like once. And by that time, he felt that, and I'm proud to say that we had earned the right to die together in a very romantic way.
At what point of the filming did you realize you were making such an important and landmark film?
When it came out.
When it came out?
Yeah, no, there was
no idea.
We were making a cowboy film with women in trucks. We didn't know it was going to turn into this whole thing.
It was a low-budget movie. We hoped people would, like it, that they wouldn't hate the way that it... I almost gave away the ending. Oh, no!
It was fun. I mean, I knew I would take my family to Utah and have this great little house, and, I like to do... When my kids were growing up, I didn't work unless I could bring them, so I like to do most of the stuff during the summer. And this one fit in perfectly, and it was fun.
Well, what was the premiere like? And watching the audience reaction if there was a premiere.
I was much skinnier. What was it like? I don't remember.
I don't remember the premiere.
No, but was it? I've seen pictures. We were there. Definitely.
We were there. No, we were there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did the audience love it?
I don't remember. But after the movie came out, once I knew that it got this reaction and everything. If I was going in the theater seeing another movie, I knew what time she kills him and what time the tanker blows up. So I would go sneak in the back, So So I saw it many times.
Awesome. Let's get some questions from the audience. And with most successful films, did they want to make a sequel? No, I'm just kidding.
They did talk about a sequel.
They did?
At one point, and I said, well, what would we be doing in the sequel? And somebody said, getting big checks. Because you're dead. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Okay, let's get some questions from the audience.
And please have all questions be about Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, and if you have a question, just move into the center aisle and we'll get your question.
What was it like working with a very young and then unknown Brad Pitt? Was he like a really cool guy back then? Was he very laid back? Was he very professional? Did you have dinner with him? What?
You worked with him.
Wait, who was it again? Oh, Brad Pitt. He was a doll, wasn't he? I mean, he was so insanely charismatic, and he just had such star quality. But very, very sweet and kind of shy and just a real sweetheart. Yeah.
I think when I saw him in the final film, because obviously she got to see much more of him than I did. When I saw him in the final film, taunting the husband at the police station, because that was all improvised, and I thought, oh, this guy isn't just a pretty face. He's brave and he's got some creativity and imagination, because you look like that, you don't have to, you know, be a character actor. And it's pretty amazing the things that he's chosen to do since then, you know, have been so different. And so, you know, he's really an actor and not just a charismatic, really gorgeous guy. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
I just want to thank you, ladies, because I'm going to tell you, that movie changed my life, literally. I was in a horrible marriage. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching that and War of the Roses, and the next day, I don't know why I just went out and saw a lawyer, and that was for Beth. And that is what you ladies do.
You just have to stay away from line dancing, because that's where you get in trouble. Right?
And shots.
Yeah.
I have a question for Sue. I just wondered if you had any memories of working with Bowie on The Hunger.
Yeah, I do. And I'm not going to tell you. But Catherine also was, you know, she seems like really cool. That was before children, before I had children. So I was giving lots of parties in this little brownstone thing that I had in London, and she always came to help clean up all the time. So she's still, I think of her so fondly. But it was a fun you know, the whole thing was fun because we were in London in that beautiful house, and yeah, it was crazy, but it was fun.
Okay, next question, please.
All right, well, hello, Geena and Susan. It's so wonderful to have you with us today. And I just wanted to say I wanted to thank you two, for all the film projects that you both did. For you, Geena, Stuart Little 1 and 2, The Long Kiss Goodnight, A League of Their Own, and of course, Beetlejuice and Thelma and Louise. And for you, Susan, some of my favorites, Atlantic City, Stepmom, Lorenzo's Oil, Speed Racer, James and the Giant Peach as Miss Spider, and Queen Nerissa in Disney's Enchanted.
That wasn't a question, was it?
Oh, no. So my question for both of you is, throughout your career, which roles did each of you enjoy doing the most and why?
That's such a Sophie's Choice question. You can't ask us to betray our other children like that. I think for me, you know, some of the ones that I produced Stepmom, I put that together. The same thing with Dead Man Walking. So it's a different kind of thing when you're involved in that part of it, but I gotta say, I really make sure I have a great time, because really the chances of it turning out the way you hope it will are pretty small. So you learn very early on to, you know, do it because you're meeting and having a chance to play with fabulous people, and sometimes you learn something about, like baseball or a certain period of, you know, history. So it's a really great job. Not very secure, but very great job. And so I don't, you know, there's certain ones, because Dead Man Walking, I found the book and I put it together, and so the fact that that turned out and did so much good puts it on a different level, kind of. But there's some movies that I did that the studio didn't really support, which are still very dear to me, but you probably didn't see them, you know, that kind of movie too. You want to know why? You're looking at me like, what is that movie? Well, like I did one with Natalie Portman. Yes. So one person saw it. Cute.
Right. I was just mesmerized. Well, yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, you put so much into it. I mean, this is clearly, you know, way up there. And we just bonded, you know, and we're still really good friends. So that was very meaningful. Sometimes Susan would lean over and say, see how much fun it is to work with a woman? And I was like,
You're in a sea of testosterone. You have no idea.
yeah.
It's Ridley Scott has like got the cigar, and everybody had their shirts off and wrapped around their heads, and they're all.
Yeah. We had a good time. But one of my favorite movies to make was Long Kiss Goodnight. I got to be a badass, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, and you are wonderful in it, Geena.
Next question.
Hello, thank you both for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Follow up on that, this question is for Geena. What was your experience like on The Long Kiss Goodnight? What was your most memorable experience with that, and what was it like working with Samuel L. Jackson?
Sam was amazing. He's the best. We had so much fun. I'll just tell you one anecdote. So there's a scene, if you saw it, there's a scene where we jump out of a building and we're falling, and I have a machine gun, and we're above a lake, and I shoot a hole in the lake, and then we come out or whatever, and I keep waiting for them. When are we going to shoot them coming out of the water, because I can't wait to see this fake ice that they're going to have. And they said, oh, it's this afternoon, and we get in the car. I said, where are we going? To the lake. So they had cut a hole in a lake, in a frozen lake, in the ice with a chainsaw, and Sam and I had to get in the hole under the water and pop out. So it was the worst experience of both of our lives. You can't imagine, when you get an ice cream headache and it's very big, imagine your whole body's having an ice cream headache, and I couldn't see or think or hear. And we pop up and we crawl over, and they had a hot tub. And we get in the hot tub and we're practically crying. We're like, oh my God, thank God it's over. I know, thank God it's over, and passing a blast. And then we had to do it 3 times. But the point was, Sam Jackson, when they come over to say, I'm sorry, we have to do it again, he's smoking a cigarette, he goes, all right. And I'm like, you're mad, you really are mad,
All right. Next question.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here and doing this for us. You went above and beyond for us today. So thank you for that. I want to take it back to Thelma and Louise when you were saying how it was okay for the gay men, to do something, but not for lesbians to be, noticed or cared about or accepted. Now, with that, I'm going to turn to Geena specifically. Then you went on to do the baseball, obviously, with the women playing baseball. Now, how did you feel about that? Like, did you feel like you were paving the way for women in your own way, for us, like, that we're watching?
Well, it didn't occur to me beforehand, and I don't think I realized even after it came out that Thelma and Louise would be such a cultural phenomenon, and last this long. And I also had no idea what was going to happen with League of Their Own, what the reaction was going to be, and then that exploded. The interesting thing was, when this movie came out, all the press said, this will change everything. Now we're going to see so many movies starring women or female buddy pictures or whatever. And I was like, great, awesome, we're changing everything. And then when League of Their Own came out, everybody said, this will change everything. Now there's going to be so many female sports movies because of this. And TikTok. How many female sports movies came out in the last 30 years? So it was kind of stunning to see, the prediction and the reaction, and then have Hollywood move so slowly, unfortunately. But that it resonated with people who saw the movies, that's, very important.
I just want a quick question. You said it was Thelma and Louise was fairly low budget. How long was the filming? How long?
It wasn't that long. If it was 3 months, that would have. It wasn't quite 3 months.
3 months. I think it was under 3 months. Yeah.
Thank you. their questions, please.
What was the hardest scene you guys filmed while filming Thelma and Louise?
Hardest scene.
For me, the hardest thing was I had stunt drivers, but I still had to do all the stunts. And when they did the stunts, they didn't have the camera in front of them, obviously, because then they would see it wasn't me. But when I had to drive the car, the camera was in front of me. So I was driving like with my peripheral vision or something. And it felt very dangerous to me. So I wasn't really comfortable. I mean, we took driving lessons, we took shooting lessons. They kept trying to get me to get a gun because I had small children, which is why I kept saying that's why I don't want a gun.
What did you do in real life?
In real life, the guy that was teaching us kept saying, Susan, you're by yourself with your kids, you gotta get a gun. And I was like, not in my house with my little, no. Nothing against anyone having guns that are locked up. Anybody here with a gun, it's fine with me, just as long as it's safe. But I didn't want one with small children, a gun in a house with small children. So we learned how to do all that, but I found, like the driving and with Geena picking up the hat, right? Stuff like that was difficult. Honestly, every day, at the end of the day, as the sun was going down, they would film us just just like extra footage all the time. And Geena and I started to get nervous that maybe it was just going to be this beautiful traveling thing, and we were going to be a voiceover because we shot so much like generic footage coming and going. And there was one time when Geena taught me, what language was that? Was that in
Swedish?
Swedish, where we did, because sometimes we had to do our own camera, right, if we were in the car. So we did our own camera and we did the scene in Swedish. And this is when they were still, it wasn't digital, it was real film, right? So they were sending the film off and they were like, we think that the film somehow got backwards. And we said, no, it's in Swedish. That was fun.
Is that footage anywhere as an extra? DVD?
Was it in the movie?
No, did they ever put it as a DVD extra or something?
I have no idea.
That would be awesome to watch.
That would be cool, yeah.
Sweden, it would be cool.
Got time for a few more questions.
Hi, so I'm really nervous. My question, I guess, would be, I admire most about the film the relationship, the empowerment of women. And I have, they're so talented and they have great dreams and they can do them. So I guess I take this opportunity to ask such empowering women. They look up to women like you. What would you say to keep them going, to keep their dreams alive, or any inspiration, I guess, for my girls watching you, in that film and just making such a statement. My daughter's been walking, May 7th, she's been walking around as Thelma, as a little baddie, because I explained to her what happens with Thelma, so she's just been, and that's the empowerment right there, and you give that to them. So, yeah, my question would be, if you had anything to say, to inspire, keep their dreams going.
So the question is what?
Do you have anything to say to inspire?
Oh, do we have anything to inspire?
Not, so do we have anything now to say?
Well, I guess just,
I'm not as good a writer.
No, it's
sorry, I'm really.
No, I'm never mind. I'm good, thank you. Sorry.
Go! Go women!
I think it's just, I think that women will be better off when men are better off, and men haven't been able to be their sensitive selves either. That having had daughters and sons, I think that the socialization process is horrific for boys. That young women already understand that they have to be twice as good and twice as smart and twice as fast and strong. And they have the ability to do that. It's innate, you know, we carry the eggs, we have to keep civilization going. But I think men come in entitled, and then they find out that everything doesn't fall in place, and on top of that they have to be unemotional and not talk about their insecurities, not talk about their frailties, and it does a lot of damage. And when men are damaged, women can easily become damaged. So I think that maybe what's going on now is, you know, to try to identify toxicity in male and in relationships. We're a lot smarter now. I think that in terms of entertainment, that a lot of women are in the position to tell stories about women and the strength of women. And so we're getting a lot of storytelling that really helps women. And I think a lot of the storytelling that is for men is really awful. Still pretty bad. Sorry guys, for you. So I don't know, that's what I would say in terms of uplifting women. I would say, let's uplift each other, I guess, and let's start to really listen and to try to be more gentle with ourselves and more gentle with other people.
That's great. Wonderful.
Hi, welcome to Pittsburgh. We mentioned the ending, how important it was to have it not be like Disney-fied, no happy ending. How much did you have to fight to keep it? Was there any other parts of the movie you really had to fight to keep more in the manner that the writer initially intended, as opposed to what the studio might want?
One of the reasons the movie turned out to have a vision was because Alan Ladd Jr., who was the producer, completely let Ridley do what he wanted. He was not there. Nowadays, I find with the films I'm doing that you have committee deciding everything. You have 8 people around the monitors and everybody, so everything becomes homogenized very easily. This is a director who had a vision. He wasn't a feminist by any means. He listened to us a lot when we had suggestions, and he made us heroic, which wouldn't necessarily have been if it had been done by somebody that was making a little movie. He knew how to put us in a vista that was heroic, like John Wayne. You were literally shooting where John Wayne shot. So that lifted the whole thing up. Were there times when, you know, like I had a real problem because, and this was from the very beginning, there was a scene where my boyfriend shows up, and in the script, she has sex, they sing songs, they get married, he gives her negligee, and I was like, how am I gonna get back to going off a cliff after that? If I have to stay tense and screwed up and, you know, focused, I don't see if I have sex with him at that point, then I'm gonna get hysterical, which is an interesting sex scene. But 2 pages later, Brad takes the money and I'm hysterical. So I said to Ridley, what do we do? Do you want that 2 beats so close to each other? And he said, well, what else could we shoot? So while she was having fun with Brad, I was in another room improvising with Michael Madsen, who was not easy, and trying to figure out really what he was going to shoot. And we figured out that it would be, she would be up all night, smoking and, you know, saying goodbye in a way, but that it wasn't like this orgy of a sexual experience, because at that point in the movie, after you've shot someone because you're having a rape flashback, I just didn't see how, like, 1 week later, she's suddenly, like, cool with it, you know? So things like that were changed, but not, the ending was always, I mean, it was in his hands, because whatever you think of Ridley and his own personal politics or whatever, he was very collaborative with us. You know, he listened, he uncharacteristically listened apparently, but he was great with us.
I think we have time for 2 more questions.
I
Hi, ladies. So nice meeting you. I'm a huge fan from Canada. So this is a question for Susan. So my mother was recently endured cancer, and I find in watching a few of your films, like Stepmom and Blackbird, and I recently discovered Icebound, which you delve into those issues of women experiencing very life-changing, hard moments. So how do you, as an actress, get into that process, and how do you detach at the end of the day?
Well, these days, all I get are scripts where either I'm dying or some helping someone die. That's where I am now. I think each story is really individual, so you just go from that. It was Blackbird was very educational because I knew nothing about that disease, and the whole question of suicide is another whole kind of confusing thing, and I think you just take each one. I mean, afterwards, I think that you appreciate life more. You know, so it's a gift in a way to have to imagine those things. It's easier for me to deal with that than to deal with the child dying. So I would rather, you know, but I'm so prefer a love story where you don't die. Because there were a lot of love stories where you're punished. Like Bull Durham was really great because she was very sensual, and she didn't have to die at the end, because often that is what happens, you're punished, right? But I don't know that I look forward to dying and everything really anymore.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. The Thelma and Louise panel, Susan Sarandon, Geena Davis. You could do better than that. Oh, come on. Thank you so much. Don't forget, there's photo ops, there's pictures, there's autographs, there's all that good stuff. What a great Q&A. Good job, everyone. We have one more panel tonight. It's with Christian.